We appear to be live. Hey everyone, this is Kevin the Apptrepreneur. Welcome to the channel and welcome to a new episode of the Apptrepreneur Show. I am your host, Kevin the Apptrepreneur. So it's been a while since we've done an Apptrepreneur Show on this channel. But I kind of wanted to do this video, figure I was going to rant about something, going to talk about something that might surprise you, but as an eBay seller, and as someone who runs an eBay business and sells things like collectibles, comics, video games, Pokemon cards, things of that nature, I have to admit something that I don't think a lot of eBay sellers or Mercari or whatever platform you sell on really like admitting, and that is I hate grading. I hate the whole concept of grading. I hate what grading has done to my business, and it annoys me. So for those of you who are not aware of what grading is, it is when you have a product like this. I don't know if you can actually see it or not. Well, that's not really showing up very well. So let me show you a website instead. This might make it a little bit more interesting. This is what grading is. As you can see, we have an issue of Sports Illustrated. It has been graded, and here is a comic of X-Men. It has been graded. It's a 9.6. You can grade these anywhere from a 1 to a 10, with a 10 being extremely hard to get, and a 1 also being kind of equally rare in some instances, because you should have enough sense to know when your product is of poor quality. Now, for the most part, people do this for comics like you see here, and cards like Pokemon cards. We can go here and you can get cards graded, which is what I was trying to show you. And the grading of the cards in the comics does a couple things. First of all, it preserves the condition of the card and comic. You get it authorized that that card or comic is in excellent condition and it's a certain number of quality. And for a seller, it even makes price negotiation easier, because graded cards and comics and whatever else have a value. Like they have like a Kelley Blue Book value. You know how like when you go to a shop for a car and you see someone charging so much or so little for a car, and then one of the first things you do is you look up what's the Kelley Blue Book value. What does the Kelley Blue Book say this car is worth? And that can, if you're being overcharged for the car, give the buyer a chance to say, hey, I think you're charging too much money for this car. This is what it's really worth. I'll go down to here. And if you are selling the car, if someone offers you a ridiculously low deal, or offer, I should say, then you can say, well, hey, the Kelley Blue Book value says that this car is worth this much, so I'm not taking anything less than this. That's basically what it is. And I just realized that I'm trying to show you the cards, but it opened a new tab for the cards. So yeah, it's opening a new tab. So anyway, let's that's kind of beside the point. You know what a graded Pokemon card looks like. So you would think in a way that would make grading something that people like me would love, especially since, as I tried to hold it up, I do have graded cards. I do have graded comics. And for particularly valuable cards and comics, I have to be honest. It has made the price negotiation of those cards and comics much easier. I'm not going back and forth with someone when I put a San Diego Pikachu card up that is valued at $5,000 at the grade that I got. Someone can come and say, I'll give you $300 for it. And it's like, no, the graded card says it's worth this much. Now, if this person wants to come back and offer me $2,500, well, $2,500 is a lot of money. I could probably live with that. But for the most part, this is what it looks like. This is the value. But there are some things about this grading thing that can get a little annoying. And I was kind of inspired to make this video. Maybe you could understand why, or maybe why not, when I read this. Someone posted on this message board, net54baseball.com, a site that I typically do not go to, but I just happened upon this comment from Jolly Elm. And they say why I hate the whole card grading thing. And they said it's not my card, and I obscured the serial number for the heck of it. I can't stand people who constantly talk about graded cards and all the ridiculous chatter about, hey, do you think if I break this card out and get it regraded, it'll get a 0.5 bump? It bugs me to no end. Hate it. You may have a different opinion, so whatever. But that's where I stand. So I ran across this card today and am at a complete loss as to why in heck anyone in their right mind would say this is an 8. Isn't an 8 supposed to be a beautiful, nearly perfect card? Since the number grade is on a separate line, this is a relatively recent grading. So you can't say that perhaps PSA overgraded it back in the day when they really didn't have their act together. The photograph itself is at a ridiculously tilted angle that it's almost pinwheels right off the face of the card. That jumps out at you right away, and it's impossible to ignore this stupidly obvious flaw. Add in the fact that each corner shows bumps, rounded wear, and the edges look, for lack of a better term, pocket marked. How was this an 8? Yowza? And I don't know if we can actually look. Okay, we can't look at the card. But that's not necessary. But I read a comment like that, and it kind of inspired me to make this video. Because here's the thing. I don't have the same issue as this guy, although I'm sure that's an issue. I mean, I have had cards graded. I've had Pokemon cards graded where I literally took them right out of the packet, was wearing gloves and everything, and put them in a protective sleeve and mailed them and got them graded, and they came back as a 9 or a 9.5, not even a 10, and it was a brand new card. So I get the frustration of the difficulty of getting a grade 10 card. Here's what I don't like about grading. Grading, which in theory is supposed to preserve condition of cards and comics, and now they're doing it for video games and stuff like that, is a great one. The problem is grading has also created like a little bit of a subculture of people who are buying things specifically to grade them. And as a result, they are never happy with the product they buy. I have had to deal with, in my opinion, extremely unfair returns, because when I'm selling a product, I'm selling it to sell the product. If I'm selling you a comic book, I don't know what you're going to do with it. I assume you are going to put it in a plastic sleeve and a board. Maybe you will read it. Maybe you will scan the images for a YouTube video. I don't know what you are going to do with that item, but once you have that item, basically my job is done. And as long as I did not severely misrepresent the condition of the item, then I believe those sales should stand. Unfortunately, because of grading, this has become a very, very difficult proposition. So what am I talking about? So let's someone bought a Pikachu card. I'm going to kind of hold this up. Let's just pretend this Pikachu card was not graded and was sold. And I sold the card for $10. And I said that it was in very good condition. Reality, it was in like new condition. Nothing around the edges, no scratches. It wasn't bent in any way. It was in a but it was like new, but I called it very good. Because one of the things that I've also learned about grading, at least the world of grading, is that you really need to be careful what you call like new, because people's expectations of what a like new product has gone up tremendously. So I sell this $10 card and I package it carefully and I ship it. And the person initiates a return for eBay. They are like, hey, this card was advertised as very good. This does not look like a 9 grade card. It just does not. So I want to send it back and I want my money back. And this seller misrepresented what the card was supposed to be, which in my opinion is not true. Let's take another example. This one, a video game. I bought a copy of NBA 2K21. It was a Steelbook edition for the PlayStation 5. And apparently what I did not know when I bought this, although I tend to buy steelbooks because they usually have some value after the initial shipment, is that Sony was very upfront about the fact that there was only going to be a very, very few amount of the steelbooks made. And I think it was some ridiculously low amount. Video game grading is a thing. In fact, ever since that Mario 64 cart sold for a record $1 million or something like that, video game collecting has skyrocketed, mainly with people's hope that they could get brand new games in particular graded and make $1 million themselves. So I sell this game for $200. Now I paid 60 or no, 70. No. I think I paid 100 for it because it was a steelbook. So I paid $100 for this game, sold it for 200. Very happy. That's double the money, almost, after eBay takes their fees, of course. And the person emails me and says, "You're going to package this extremely carefully, right?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, sure. I'll put it in a box. I'll cushion it up." I mean, they would have to really, really do a number on the shipping if this were to arrive damaged. And then the person sends another email. "Great. I want to get this graded. So if it's not a 10 by the time it comes here, we're going to have a problem." Really? So you can see where the frustration comes in. I advertise this game as brand new because it is brand new. It has not been opened. And I will ship it with care. And I'm going to protect it as well as I can. But this person has made it known that because I'm advertising it as a brand new game, if he gets the game and if he gets it graded and it is not a 10, there's going to be a problem. He's going to contact eBay. He's going to get my sell. I don't know what's going to happen, but he's going to call eBay. He's going to do something. And it is extremely aggravating. In fact, there was another situation, and this will be the last situation before, I start wrapping up my thoughts about this, where the person bought a Sailor Moon comic book, one of the 32-page issues that Tokyo Pop released years ago before graphic novels became a thing. I sold this comic for about $45, and it was in very good condition. I mean, it's been read a few times because it's old, and I was a kid when I bought them. And when I was a kid, I wasn't buying things with the idea that I was going to sell them, that I was going to have an online business. I just happened to keep them for all these years. And then I woke up one day and looked at them, and I kind of wondered, why am I keeping these comics? I've got the Eternal editions. I've got them digitally. I mean, it's kind of cool that it's from my childhood, but I don't really need them anymore. So I'm selling the comics. Person buys for $45, and I called it the condition very good because it was very good. It looked almost new, almost. There were just little itty bitty things about it. So they get it. They grade it. I guess the grade comes back at a 7.5. Beckett or whoever they sent it to decided this comic was worth what was a 7.5 grade. Guy threatened to, filed an item not as described complaint, which are very, very hard to win in eBay's eyes, and said that I called it and said that I was lying about the condition because he bought the comic to get it graded. And then he got it graded, and it was not the grade he wanted. So therefore, I misrepresented the item. Now, thankfully, I won that one for two reasons. One, because the definition of 7.5 is very good. So this is where the grading actually came in handy. The grading itself showed that it was very good. And so this was a kind of a dumb complaint. But another thing was that because he got it graded, in a sense, he had got it altered. It went through other pairs of hands, and eBay felt that that is not my fault. If someone else could potentially have compromised the condition of that comic book, then I am definitely scot-free in that case. So that was really good. But you might be starting to understand why I'm, as an eBay seller, not exactly happy with the whole grading thing. Yeah. I mean, look, it's really cool to have things graded. I'm not gonna lie. I'll get some things graded just for the heck of it. Say, hey, I got it graded. It looks nice on the shelf. You can hang it up. It of course preserves the condition of the item. But as a seller, grading has become a huge, huge problem for me. And because first of all, people are now buying things with an intention of grading them and hopefully making $1 million. And I don't think that should be an expectation that should be held on sellers. Now, as a seller, you should do everything you can to package it correctly, to have a high quality product. Don't try to misrepresent the item. But if you say something is very good and there's a lot of people who would look at that and say, hey, yeah, that's a very good item in the condition. It creates problems when the person buys that item and comes back and says, it's not a 9 or it's not a 10. You misrepresented your item. I want my money back and I want to return it. Like these are complaints I'm getting more and more, and it's ridiculous. I'm also getting a little tired of the threat that, hey, if this thing is not packaged the best way possible, and hey, you say it's brand new, so if it's brand new, it better be a 10 when it arrives. It is ridiculously hard to get a 10 grade anything. Like I said, I got some Pokemon cards traded. They were brand new in their package. I had the gloves on, opened them up, took them right out of the pack, put them right in the protective sleeve, and sent them right out to get graded. And they'd come back as a 9 or a 9.5. What exactly qualifies as a 10? I don't know. Sometimes I think it's a super, super arbitrary thing. But 10s are hard to get, and buyers are expecting them, and they should not expect them. And then there's a third reason, and I didn't talk about it a whole lot during this video, but I'm going to talk about it now. And that is that grading is creating its own little market for people who basically want to try to get rich quick, but it doesn't really work out that way. I have a much easier time selling cards that have not been graded. I have a much easier time selling games and comic books that have not been graded. And the reason that is because people are buying the items to grade them. But once they're graded, and once I've got like a little Kelly Blue Book sticker, I mean, there's not a Kelly Blue Book for this, but like there's like an actual value that you can assign to that number. It's much, much harder to sell those items because people want to buy these to make money. That is why they are doing the grading thing in the first place. This Pikachu card right here that's graded 8.5. Yeah, it's worth about $150 at that grade. I still have it, and I've had it for several months because people want to buy this for $10, get it graded for $25, and hopefully get like a 9 or 10 and sell it for $300 to $500. That's what they actually want. So my graded stuff just doesn't sell. I mean, I'll sell it occasionally, but it's really not as popular as you would think. So I've kind of I'm not kind of now stuck between two headaches, if you will, as an eBay seller. And it involves grading. The first is that I am selling to people that are expecting high quality, like higher quality than what they probably should expect for used merchandise. And if you don't give them like a grade 9 or a 10, they threaten you with returns. They threaten you with an item not described complaint, and they make your life miserable over an item that is only a few dollars. And it's almost not even worth it. But then it happens enough times that if I just cave to every single one of them, I'm going to start losing money on the return shipping. So I have to fight it. And then if I myself get the stuff graded, even though ironically people are buying my stuff to get it graded, once it's graded and once the value is known, they don't want it so much anymore. Because now granted, if I was selling it well below what the value was, yes, they would absolutely buy it. But doesn't that kind of defeat the purpose of grading? So I'm thinking the grading is creating a major problem in the perception of what things are worth and what you should realistically expect when you buy things on eBay or Mercari or eBid or even Facebook Marketplace. Like, People are getting into the grading because they want to become the next millionaires. They see a brand new copy of Super Mario 64. They're going to spend a couple $1,000s on it to get it graded, and they're going to hope it's a 10 because a Super Mario 64 game sold for $1 million, which there's a lot of controversy on that. I agree with people when they say it's like a money laundering thing. I totally think that was a thing with that. But they're going to buy that Mario game and they're going to spend a lot of money. And if they don't get a grade 10, they're going to be unhappy and they're going to cause you problems. And then it doesn't really work for you because if you bother to get the stuff graded, and getting stuff graded is not exactly cheap. I mean, it is individually, but if you get a lot of stuff graded, you could spend hundreds, if not thousands of dollars getting your merchandise graded. And yeah, your blue book value for those grades, it'll show that these things are worth a lot of money, that you should easily be able to recoup your investment on that. Problem is, once it's graded, there aren't that many collectors who actually want to pay those prices. They want to sell at those prices. So they don't sell the way that the ungraded stuff does. And it becomes a problem. And so I am just sitting here, like, I want to sell this Dragon Ball Z VHS tape. I want to sell it. It's brand new. I think a lot of, Dragon Ball Z fans would love to have it. But I listed it, and I was immediately flooded with emails from people telling me, is this going to be a grade 10 VHS? Apparently we're grading VHS tapes now. Like, what's the grade value? Like, it's brand new, but is this a 10? And I removed it. Because, frankly, it's just not worth it. How on earth is this worth it? Why on earth would I want to sell this tape? And let's face it, I'm probably going to sell it for $20 or $30 at most. Most tapes would be lucky to do that. This is an anime tape for a property that's really popular, and it's brand new from a company that is no longer around. This one could probably sell for $20 or $30. But if that person buys it and they go to get it graded and it's nothing short of a 10, they're going to do a claim on my eBay account, which is going to be a headache for me, and it might not even be worth it. And so grading has become a bit of a scam from my perspective. In theory, it should work. It preserves the condition of cards, comics, VHSs, video games. It puts a value on that item, so it makes it so that you as a seller can be firm on the negotiating price. But then it creates problems in the sense that if it's graded, people don't want it because they want a deal. I call them Walmart collectors. And then if you have stuff that's on there that's not graded, you could have yourself a huge problem with that buyer because they might be buying it to get it graded. Sold the Spider-Man comic very recently for $150. Very good condition. I guess the post office didn't handle it as well as they should have. So there was an ever so slight dent in the top right corner that wasn't there when I shipped it. And the person emailed me and said, I want to send this back. I want my money back. You misrepresented it. And when I said, well, I can give you 10% back, but it's still a like new condition comic. And they're like, no. You don't understand. I bought it to get it graded. And then I was like, oh, and I did something that I probably shouldn't have. I said, well, because you bought it to get it graded, we're not going to do anything about this anymore. The 10% refund offer stands, but I did not promise a gradable comic. I promised a comic in very good condition, which even with that dent, and it was a very, very minor dent, that comic is in very good condition. Man, what a hassle. What a hassle. So grading has truly become the bane of my existence on eBay, Mercari, all this jazz. I've got these old Neon Genesis Evangelion DVDs that are worth a lot of money. And I can't sell them because people keep emailing me saying, can you post more pictures of the sides, the tops, the bottoms? And I have to ask them, why? Why do you want this? Like, oh, because I want to grade the DVD. And it's like, and unless it's in really good condition, it's not worth what you're asking for. And I tell those people, Well, it actually is worth that, even if it's not graded. It's worth that because the DVD has Fly Me to the Moon on it, and the new Blu-rays don't, and that's why the old DVDs are still popular. So, yeah, I don't know. Do any of you have eBay stores where you're selling these, really almost anything, and you're getting these emails from buyers basically worried about whether or not the thing is gradable, and are they threatening to return perfectly good merchandise because they got it, it's not a 10 or a 9 or whatever, and they're like, hey, I wanted to grade it, it's not a 9 or a 10, you lied when you said it was very good. Like, it's just pissing me off. But anyway, that's my little rant right there. So I would like to know what all of you think about this situation, whether you are experiencing these issues or not. And that's where we will end this episode of the Apptrepreneur Show. Remember, if you would like to have a question answered on a future episode of the Apptrepreneur Show, feel free to include a tip below. We will be sure to answer that question on the next episode if it's within reason. And thank you to the people who have joined me for this episode. I didn't hear a lot of people talk except for Repair Your PC. Hello, and Romeo. Thank you for joining us. Yeah, it has been a while. We'll try to upload more videos from now on. There was something kind of going on personally that I need to take care of, but we're kind of getting over that, so I think I can upload more videos now. But anyway, if you have questions you would like on the next episode, we have the new tip jar below. And as always, like, favorite, share, subscribe, and as always, flame responsibly. Have a good one.